Good morning, everyone. I'm Dr. Adeoye, your usual psychiatrist on this program. Thanks so much for the feedback from the previous video. So if you've been following me on this YouTube channel, if you subscribe to it, you would have learned a lot on what it means to be healthy mentally. So if I hear someone saying, oh, because I'm not walking naked or disheveled on the street, I'm mentally okay, my mental health is good, I know that person has not subscribed to this YouTube channel because I've explained all that. And so this morning we'll be talking about something so interesting, is genetics and mental illness. Does it mean that if you have a family member who has mental illness, you can automatically also have mental illness? A woman who is actively breastfeeding and is actively sick with any form of mental illness, will that child automatically also have that mental illness the mother has? Follow me on this journey as we talk about this. So today is interesting and is genetics and mental illness. Yeah, having a family member who has any form of mental illness actually confers a risk of having mental illness. But there are some caveats to this because the risk differs from like low to high. And this low to high depends on how close you are genetically to that family member. So literature tells us that if you have, maybe you're an identical twin and the other identical twin or both parents have, for example, let's use schizophrenia, is a common form of mental illness, has schizophrenia, that identical twin or the child of those parents is at a risk of like 46 to around 50% of having schizophrenia. If you have like a single sibling or a single parent, at a risk of around 14 to 17%, and if you don't have an extended family member like a grandparent, a risk of like 60%. And if you don't have any family member, are you still at risk? Yes, like 0.6 to like 1%. So everybody is at risk of having it. But this depends on what we call nature and nurture. The fact that you have a family member doesn't mean automatically you will come down with mental illness. The nurture factors, your environment, the things you go through. And that is why you need to follow me on this YouTube channel, as you would learn some things that will help you not to expose yourself to some factors that could precipitate mental illness. So let me give this example. If you have a keg of petrol and there is no fire around, the petrol can likely just sit down there quiet for a long time. But if you have a keg of petrol and then you light a match, you are already calling for combustion, for fire. So that is how it is. The genetic loading, the family member having it, can just sit down quietly. If you don't have factors like stress or some other things that will now precipitate that genetic loading, the person might not have mental illness in all the life. But some other factors like maybe smoking, cannabis, some substance of abuse, stress, can now be the nurture factor that will now cause that your keg of petrol to catch fire. The second thing is now a woman who is actively healed with a form of mental illness and is currently breastfeeding. Should they take that baby away? Should she stop breastfeeding? Mental illness is not transmitted via breast milk. I know you've heard of some other illnesses like HIV, AIDS, hepatitis, but for mental illness, it's a no-no. Because even before the woman knew that she was pregnant, the genetic template has been laid. If the child had that transmitted genetically, that has been laid at the point of conception. So for a woman who is actively breastfeeding and is actively healed, there are some things that should be done. Please, that woman should be managed in a mental health facility by a specialist, because the child is actually at a risk of being harmed by the woman. She may be hallucinating and be hearing voices telling her to harm the baby. So for the mental health practitioners, they have knowledge on how to manage that baby in a way that they won't have to separate the bond of the young baby from the mother, and the baby will not be at risk of being harmed from the mother, and the mother too will not be at the social risk of separation from that child. The fact that she is healed doesn't mean she doesn't love the child. And so the managing such a woman in a mental health facility will give her a better care. And so don't forget to like, don't forget to love, don't forget to share, subscribe to this YouTube channel, and don't forget to calm down. I've told us it's nature versus nurture. You have the risk, everybody even has the risk, as low as 1%, but everybody is still at a risk. The nurture, calm down so that you don't break down. Have a lovely day.